Welcome to our special World Book Day assembly. I wonder if you can tell who I've dressed up as today. Now, I've been told that I've got a face for radio, but you're lucky today because I'm doing a special video for you. Now, my husband, the lazy so-and-so, is still in bed, so he's not coming. But I'm going to tell you about him. Do you want to see a picture of him? He's quite a handsome fella. This is my husband. This is Mr. Twit. Now, Mr. Twit, he's a very hairy-faced man. The whole of his face, except for his forehead, his eyes and his nose, is covered with thick hair. The stuff even sprouts in revolting tufts out of his nostrils and his ear holes. Mr. Twit feels that all this hairiness makes him look terrifically wise and grand. But the truth was he's neither of these things. Shh, he's in bed. Mr. Twit was a twit. He was born a twit, and now at the age of 60, he's a bigger twit than ever. And the hair on Mr. Twit's face, it don't grow smooth and matted as it does on most hairy-faced men. It grows in spikes that stick out straight like the bristles of a nail brush. And how often does Mr. Twit wash this bristly, nail-brushy face of his? The answer is never. Not even on Sundays. He hasn't washed it for years. So, that's my other half. Need to get my eyebrows done. Now, I'm Mrs. Twit. Let me tell you a bit about me. So, I didn't always look this way. You would never believe it. I used to look like this. And then a strange thing started happening. And now, this is me. I'm probably no better than my half-wit of husband. I don't, of course, have a hairy face, apart from my lovely eyebrows. It's a pity, though, because that probably would cover up some of my hideousness. So, take a look at me. Have you ever seen a woman with an uglier face than this? What is Mr. Dahl talking about? But as I said to you, I wasn't born ugly. I wasn't born this way. I had quite a nice face when I was young. The ugliness grew upon me year upon year as I got older. Why does that happen? Let me tell you. If a person has ugly thoughts, it begins to show on the face. And when that person has ugly thoughts every day, of every year, of every week, you get uglier and uglier till it gets so ugly you can hardly bear to look at it. Mr. Twit loves my face though. A person who has good thoughts can never be ugly. If you can have a wonky nose, a crooked mouth, double chin, and stick out teeth. But if you have good thoughts, it'll always shine out your face like sunbeams and you'll always look lovely. Nothing, apparently, shines out of my face. In my right hand, I have you know, I carry a walking stick. Now, I'll have you know, this is because I've got painful warts. They're awful, they are. Growing out the sole of my left foot, and walking is very painful for me. But do you know what? Shh, the real reason I carry this stick is so I can hit things with it. Like dogs and cats and small children like you. So watch out if I see you around school today. Because I'm not feeling happy. Do you know what? Something else you need to know about me. I've also got a glass eye. And it's always looking the other way. And I'm always watching you and my husband. Isn't that right, Mr. Twit? Now, something you should know about me and my gorgeous hubby is that we like to play tricks upon each other. Always playing pranks. Once I got him so good, I took out my glass eye. Do you know what I did with it? Put it in his glass of beer, I did. And when he got to the bottom of drinking his beer, there I was, looking right at him through my eye. He didn't like that. Do you know what he did to get me back after I put a glass eye in his beer? Do you know what he did? That horrible, filthy man, that horrible man, after I put that glass eye in his beer, he got me back the next day. He put something in my bed. You won't believe it. It was green and slimy. I've got it here, I stuffed it. Look, he put this frog in my bed. The filthy man. Put it in his bed, that's where he is right now. Always playing pranks on each other. Always being mean. So do you know what? I got him back. The next day, to pay Mr. Twit back for the frog trick, I snuck out into the garden and I dug up some worms. I chose big, long ones like this. And I put them in a tin. And I carried the tin back to the house under my apron. And then at 1 o'clock, I cooked spaghetti for lunch, and I mixed the worms in with the spaghetti, but only, of course, on my husband's plate, only on Mr. Twit's plate. And the worms didn't show because everything was covered in tomato sauce and sprinkled with cheese. Hey, my spaghetti's moving, cried my husband, Mr. Twit, poking it around with his fork. Do you know what I told him? I said, it's a new kind. I told him, taking a mouthful from my own plate, which of course didn't have worms in it. It's called squiggly spaghetti, I told him. It's delicious. Eat it up while it's nice and hot. So Mr. Twit started eating, twisting the long tomato covered strings round with his fork and shoveling it into his mouth. Soon there was tomato sauce all over his hairy chin, joining all the cornflakes already there. It's not as good as the ordinary kind, he said, talking with his mouth full. It's too squishy. I find it very tasty, I told him from the other end of the table. It gave me great pleasure to watch him eating those worms. I find it rather bitter, Mr. Twit said. It's got a distinctly bitter flavour. Buy the next kind next time, he told me. I waited until Mr. Twit had eaten every last mouthful off his plate. And then I said, do you want to know why your spaghetti was so squishy? He, Mr. Twit, wiped the tomato sauce from his beard with the corner of the tablecloth. He's so uncouth. Why? He said. And do you also want to know why it had a nasty bitter taste? I asked him. Why? He said. Because it was worms! I cried, clapping my hands and stamping my feet on the floor and rocking with horrible laughter. It was worms! You ate worms! Now, obviously, that didn't go down very well with my husband. That's probably why he's in bed right now. His stomach all wiggly and jiggly with the worms. I'm sure he'll be thinking of some way to get me back. I just don't know what it could be. Now, I hope you guys don't play any pranks on anyone around school. I heard some rumour that yesterday, some of you little horrors made your head teacher a coffee and instead of sugar, you put salt in it. She was really sick. Oh, I hope I didn't see any of you. Actually, I hope I do see some of you today with my stick. You better watch out. So, I hope you have as much fun as I will. Today, on World Book Day, I look forward to seeing you around school, but watch out for me, as I've said, with my walking stick, because I do like to give small children a bit of a whack with it. Say goodbye, Mr. Twit.
Goodbye. Happy World Book Day.